Let's bring in Aaron Cohen. He attended last night's screening of the Hamas attacks footage. He is an Israeli special ops veteran and founder of Cherries, which specializes in counterterrorism training for law enforcement. Aaron, you were there. This has been screened before. It was screened in Tel Aviv for journalists. It was also screened in New York for journalists. Gal Gadots put on this screening last night. What was the source? What was the trigger point for the altercation?
Well, I think the trigger point is that there was an actual screening of this footage to bear witness to the atrocities that happened on October 7th at that massacre, and we've seen these tussles around the world, John. And LA was no different last night. You could certainly hear the commotion within the auditorium during the speaking event, before the screening, a little bit after the screening. And it was apparent that tempers were heightened. But LAPD did a fantastic job. The diplomatic security operations for the various ambassadors and consul general of Los Angeles, who I attended with, did a fantastic job. Everybody was very safe. But it was expected that there would definitely be some tension outside.
I've read a lot of accounts of the screening. I haven't seen the footage myself. But to me, the most graphic and compelling written account of that footage came from a Canadian journalist, Sabrina Maddow, of the National Post up in Canada, who wrote this: "I watched Hamas hack innocents to death. The worst part was their glee. Screen footage showed literal streams of blood, hacked off arms and legs, and an infant missing part of its skull, brain leaking out. I'll never forget the gore, but it's the look of euphoria and pride in the terrorists' eyes, cheering for the cameras as if they were the ones partying at a music festival that day, that will haunt me." You saw the footage. What was your reaction?
Well, John, I'm not very squeamish. I've been in the business for a long time, but it certainly affected me. It definitely affected everybody in the room. There's a very somber feeling. It was a very eerie quiet throughout the almost 40 minutes of video that was shown. I will tell you this. I believe it's very important that this footage was shown. Clearly, some of these elite Hollywood executives who were in the room, and I've been around the Hollywood crowd for a long time. It was important for everybody to see the footage and to really bear witness to what they saw firsthand. It's a different animal to see it, John.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the message was received. The glee in the terrorist eyes was very apparent throughout the footage. The IDF did a fantastic job. Gal Gadots, one of our national treasures, a wonderful actress, did a fantastic job of organizing the event. And it's important for people to see this material.
Anti-Israeli protesters say, oh, this video is just propaganda. But we need to remind people that this was taken from body cams, predominantly, that Hamas terrorists were wearing so that they could go back to Gaza and glorify their heinous terrorist attacks. And it seems that a lot of young people are not armed with a whole lot of information about all of this. There was a protest in London the other day, the campaign against anti-Semitism. Talked to a few people at that pro-Palestinian rally. The question was asked of a couple of young women: when Hamas invaded Israel on October 7th, what was your initial reaction to that? One young woman says, I don't think they did that, did they? Then the other one says, honestly, I think I need to be a bit more clued up on everything that's going on. They admit that they need to be clued up on everything that's going on, that they don't know what happened, and yet they're out there blindly criticizing Israel for its campaign against Hamas.
That's right, John. There's a lot of uneducated people when it comes to this conflict. Clearly, they have no idea that the only occupation of Gaza has been by Hamas since 2007, where they forcefully took control of the Strip. This footage is very important. This is the fifth front that Israel's fighting in this war. Besides Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in the north, the Houthis coming out of Yemen, attacks coming from terror organizations in Iraq against not only Israeli assets, but against U.S. assets. The fifth front is the information war. Israel is getting better at it. They realize that this is spreading on a much more global level in terms of a potential jihad. And the world needs to understand that Israel has been dealing with this level of threat for many, many years. And part of my messaging has been to really take audiences back to understand that terrorism goes all the way back to the 60s. That's why special operations units have been formed Israel has been dealing with terrorism for a long time, and they're one of the best at dealing with counterterrorism. So this information, it's critical that the world gets educated and that they understand the level of threat, and that it's not just directed at Israel. This is directed at the West, and that this will expound. And it's important to get really educated on exactly what's going on here. This video shows it.
Yeah, the one thing that Israel has really come to realize in all of this is that it needs to have video of every potentially controversial military move that it makes. Aaron Cohen, great to catch up with you. Thank you so much for joining us.